Hi, it's Tom from Digital Foundry. It's been 4 years since the last game in the Fallout series, and this month Bethesda returns with the much awaited Fallout 4. We thought we'd run a performance analysis on the game focusing on PS4 and Xbox One versions, and the results are somewhat surprising. First up though, we can confirm PS4 and Xbox One render at a crisp native 1080p resolution here. It gives us a sharp base image to work with, and it's a surprising turnout for Microsoft's machine in particular, which has a history of compromising its resolution in similar open world games. Instead, it's good news that both consoles give a full HD presentation here, using a temporal anti-aliasing technique to treat the game's jagged edges. Now, we'll be giving a more thorough analysis of the game's visuals later on, but early testing shows PS4 and Xbox One's visual settings are surprisingly close across the board. Texture mapping is matched for resolution, and each uses the same grade of ambient occlusion, plus effects work is identical too. With everything being so close though, how does the frame rate on these machines hold up when put side by side? Well, as you've already noticed, Fallout 4 targets a 30 frames per second update here. This is with VSync engaged as well, so there's no distracting screen tear to speak of in the console experience. For an open world game, targeting 30 FPS makes a lot of sense, especially with the detail-rich environments Fallout 4 is pushing for. That being said, it's far from a perfect situation on console as far as framerate consistency goes. As you can see, the game is largely hitting 30 FPS to start, but can drop to the low 20 FPS line on PS4 and Xbox One, depending on the situation. These hits to performance are especially noticeable when moving between two major city areas. It always kicks in at the same spot on both consoles, as if assets are being decompressed on the fly for the next location. Either way, it's far from as smooth as we'd like, though PS4 does often stay ahead in matching runs across the world.
What do you mean you can't open the gate?
But that's not the whole story. Overall, Xbox One suffers to a greater extent from a stuttering issue that halts the game experience midway through travelling and battling. Each has their blips, but having tried two separate Xbox One consoles, the results are always the same. We get sizable stutters that last up to a second. As you can see, stutters kick in just before cutscenes take place, or if your dog's sidekick finds a new item, or even when changing to a new weapon. On Xbox One, this causes a massive lurch downward to the 0 FPS mark on our graph, and occasionally it causes sounds to delay when firing a gun. Overall, it's fair to say it doesn't manifest to nearly the same degree on PS4. It's surprising to see such a divide in performance like this, and we were shocked by the difference in first playing the game. Even with multiple retests, using the same enemies, weather and lighting conditions, each Xbox One console we tried has similar and major issues streaming in data effectively. It isn't a constant issue, but it happens often enough as we walk through the world to distract.
Anyone is one of those things.
We got small arms, long arms, ammunition.
Diamond City surplus.
As well as this, PS4 also has the general performance advantage in complex areas like Diamond City. Just walking around the town centre here, PS4 gives us the overall smoother readout. It is one of the more built up and densely packed spots in the game, and most other cities hold up fine at 30 FPS. But even so, as a stress test when overlooking this city, Xbox One lags behind at a consistent 25 FPS, while PS4 holds at 28 FPS until we leave the scene. It's a clear result across city areas, but PS4 does have an obvious shortcoming elsewhere. When it comes to shootouts involving heavy alpha transparency effects such as fire, smoke or blood splatter, in extreme cases PS4 can really struggle. Here's a clear example, where we approach an early Deathclaw enemy in Concord Town. Using the same conditions, Sony's console drops frames notably to near the 20 FPS line at points. It's a heavy hit on performance across the stretch of this test. We retried this section several times on both consoles, but Xbox One consistently produced a smoother readout. It holds at 30 FPS throughout and handles the build-up of effects on screen more capably. That said, PS4 holds up to Xbox One during other battles. As you can see in this busy fight with the zombie swarm, these frame rate drops aren't a pervasive issue on PS4, and performance doesn't struggle to nearly the same level here. It suggests it's only an issue in extreme cases where effects are used to excess. On balance, PS4's performance profile is in better shape overall. It has nothing close to the stuttering we see on Xbox One, and a better frame rate in big towns and cities as well. Xbox One does have an advantage in shootouts where effects build up to an excess, but for the most part battles give us identical results. Anyway, that's all for now. We'll be delivering a more detailed analysis later on with a focus on how console visuals stack up with PC's top settings. As far as performance goes, the stuttering issues on Xbox One stand out as the most distracting part of its presentation. It begs the question whether a faster drive, perhaps even a solid state drive, could help, especially if it's an issue streaming data from the install package, something we'll be reporting back on soon. Anyway, if you found this video useful, feel free to hit the like button below, and if you want to hear more detailed analysis on Fallout 4 or other big upcoming games, be sure to hit that subscribe button too. We'll be back with plenty more in the coming days, but until then, thanks for watching.